Good day, everybody. That was my presentation. You all can go sign up and buy Bluebeam. Great. My name is Erasmus. I'm the Technical Director of RDS, Real Data Systems, previously known as Real Design Systems. Firstly, I just want to thank CitA. It's awesome to be here again. Really, really great event. Some familiar faces and some new faces. Today, I want to have a chat specifically around pretty much the connected job site. And what does it entail and what does it really mean in terms of the technology? Just a little bit of background. So we're the main partner for Bluebeam in about over 30 countries. We started our roots, that's why I've got a South African accent. Please don't say I've got a New Zealand accent because I will murder you after the rugby and the horrible results we had there. I am South African. We started our roots in Johannesburg, moved into Cape Town, and then slowly moved up into Africa. We then took over pretty much the whole Middle East as the main partner, where we then got approached by Bluebeam saying, listen, lads, you've done an outstanding job. We've got a few guys on this little island called Ireland, and they really need some help and need some implementation. Anybody, hands up, who uses Bluebeam, who actually owns Bluebeam here? Makes me a little bit happy, but a little bit sad, but more happy because it's new faces and hopefully new sales. So that makes me happy. So we've, since the end of last year, opened up our offices here in Dublin. First started out in Greystones, and to provide local support to the industry here, moving up further into Northern Ireland, Scotland, and slowly moving down. We, for 2020, moving into South America, specifically Paraguay, where we'll have our offices in partnership with one of our technical consulting companies. And that's pretty much it around our footprint. Just to put RDS into perspective, exactly where we're sitting, before we go into the nitty-gritty, we've got our technical partners, everybody hopefully knows, DCTG, old Joseph and Belinda. We work very closely with them. Really great technical team we've got there. On the other side, we've got BIM Games, which is a sister company to RDS, which we do BIM implementation consulting, specifically around ISO. So we do ISO, the new ISO standards on BIM. Everybody knows about that. We implement, train it up, and then obviously certify you for the kite mark recognition, all right, which is very, very powerful. Unity, I don't know if anybody of you know Unity. It's a game development platform where we actually develop our own platforms on top of. But the main thing around it is our design partners, Bluebeam, ArchiCAD, Autodesk, we work very closely with, specifically around the solutions that they offer and how we can make it better. So we play very, very, in a number of regions, starting with BIM VDC, where it starts. Business intelligence is very important, and our databases, where we then go into machine learning and the AI systems, because that becomes valuable because we're getting data out of now being in a digital environment. Previous paper, well, we can't do much with a piece of paper and a crayon. There's no data sitting behind there. And then it's the fun side, which I'm unfortunately limited to, is the 3D and the game development side, where we actually develop games from these amazing buildings that you guys actually build. So you can run around and shoot the architect if you really want to. So the connected job site. The first thing I want to do around this is I want to ask the question, what does the connected job site mean to you guys? All right, so keep that in the back of your mind. Every person here might have a different point of view of what is the actual connected job site mean to them, because they're in different disciplines within the construction process. You might be sitting on the design side. You might be sitting on the right at the end where you have to do handovers, like we just heard earlier. How do we hand those document sets over? You know, what happens to the information? So the connected job site might mean a lot to various parties here. The next question that I want to ask is, how are you capturing your current projects or site data? What are you using? How are you checking off activities that are happening on site? And how are we linking that live to a platform or to the design office or to some system that can keep track of these activities on site? So on top of that, what does it mean to you, and how do you capture it currently? Then, how is your data being stored? If you are capturing it, what happens to it? besides rolling up a piece of paper and putting it in a folder, all right? How do we deal with the masses of information that we're actually getting now out of a digital workflow? And how do you find your data once you've stored it? It's great putting it there, but now, can I go back to RFI 2, that's a year ago? How do I find that information and roll it back and actually have the accountability to go back and finding information in that digital realm? So those are the questions that I just want you to keep in the back of your mind, because hopefully I can answer some of them, and if not, please feel free to grab myself outside and we can have a further chat around it. Because the biggest frustration is, to my experience, finding the data. So, we're a major Bluebeam partner. We eat, drink, sleep Bluebeam. Why? Because it's neutral. Anybody can use it. You heard in the video. It's simple. Your learning curve, your entry level is so low in getting into it, and it is phenomenally powerful. Most people see Bluebeam as a markup tool. It's always been marketed like that, which is great because that's what it is out of the box. But it actually can grow into a full-fledged common data environment that links everything together in one keyword, a neutral file format, where you can open it up with any PDF software. Doesn't lock it down to file format. So in our PDF solution, we've got metadata in there, hyperlinks. We're going to look at hyperlinks extensively throughout this presentation. Bookmarking, file attachments, images and spaces. So now, from a point product, we've cracked it open, and it becomes a full-fledged solution along the life cycle of your project. We actually have engineers that's doing fresh air calculations off of PDFs now. To my detriment, don't want them to use it. I want them to use the likes of Revit, MEP. We're dealing with BIM models. We've got the volumes and the spaces set up. We can actually pull the information. But for me to approach an engineer and sit down with him for 3 days and teach him that, and then he doesn't really work with it for the next 2 weeks, becomes a loss. And then the architect changes the model, and he has to reset up these things, which is not difficult if you know the software. But the learning curve in that process is very steep, where if I tell you, open up a PDF, oh yeah, that's it. I never used to go on a 3-day course to open a PDF. So familiarity already inside of the PDF. And set up tools that you can just take out of the tool chest, place it down, and you can link it to Excel. There's your database link, and you got all the information that you require coming through. Our clients actually took what normally took them around about 7 days on some of the bigger projects. We cut them down to just under 4 hours. All right, that's one of our success stories for one of our multidisciplinary engineering firms. So the life cycle is design review. We all know that. That was what Bluebeam was made for in the beginning. A markup tool. Communication on the drawing level. All right. Taking nothing away from the awesome design packages out there. You've got your collaborations in your Navisworks, your BIM 360s. That's your 3D coordination level where we talk about and try and solve the clashes before we hit site. When we talk Bluebeam, we talk what happens afterwards. What happens to the documentation? It's great that we've got these amazing 3D BIM models, but there's still a data flow that goes out in drawings. All right. So how do we manage that? And the only way we manage that is in a neutral file format. All right. So quantity takeoff, project setup, I'm not going to go through every one of them, but it exists along the whole life cycle of the project. Bluebeam has a place for you there. Depending on which version, doesn't matter. It's got a place. So much so that it is actually one of the most voted software for any AEC company to actually have. At least 1 or 2 licenses because it's so complementary to any of the workflows and software out there. So when we're talking specifically data collection, all right, let's jump back to that. Site activities is basically what we want to document. What's happening on site? Is that column being cast? You know, have they done that? Have they done that? Has there certain certificates been signed? Health and safety reports. It's lists on paper, and reams, and A4s on A4s, and folders on files, and you guys live that movie every day. You live within that base. You know what check sheets you got to do as a project manager. as an engineer. So you live right at top there. How do I grab that information? Is it an app? Is it whatever? A piece of paper that you need to write down these activities a day. So what we do is obviously digital. We create intelligent forms, all right, in PDF-based, which means I can open it up in any phone. I can open it up with any application. No apps, because I've got an old Samsung here. Half the days, there's no apps running on this. You won't even install it. So how do a subcontractor that's not on the latest technology capture information? How do I communicate with him if he's got outdated hardware? Because I can't go to him and say, no, you got to buy the next iPhone, dude, or the next Samsung, just to be communication with me. So you see, neutrality becomes so important when we're talking to one another and sharing information. So the big thing for us is data. Data. Why? Because that's why we're doing digital construction. So we can start learning from processes. We can start putting analytics behind it, and we can start AI systems and start forecasting risk down the line. Then, on our end, analytics, you've got referencing information, finding information, going back and actually having that metrics, because you cannot manage what you can't measure. So if you can't find something, how are you ever going to reference anything? And then lastly, the reports. Generating reports out of these forms that I've got, activities, in a simple manner that I can find and share very neutral with my partners on the project. So that is the overview of how we link the information. Now, how do we collect that data? So on our end, PDF, intelligent forms, most simplistic manner out there. It's literally tick boxes, drop-down menus, anything you can imagine. If you want a little man to jump up and down when something's not going your way, that can be even done. Then our HTML platform, web-based, don't need an app. Again, compatibility issues. Those things are reality. So HTML-based, again, our platform runs, not Bluebeam, but our custom platforms actually run offline, but it's an HTML web-based. You can actually log in offline, which is very, very powerful. Then what we do is we get the data. Whatever you put in, we harvest, we visualize, we show you what the activities are happening today on site. The most important thing, validation. Why is that important? Because when an activity happens on site, somebody's got to go and say, that's the right way to do it. There's the certificate. That's signed off. Great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that validation doesn't happen unless someone has signed it, someone has stamped it, someone has, in some or other form, made sure that that activity has taken place. So we have the validation there, then the dashboard, the common data environment, all linked together until we can actually push out reports. So the dashboard is how do we find that information? Literally a button that we click. So we use drawings, BIM models, very important area, Revit uses, element ID, linking forms, images, all of those type of things in the PDF so that you can live link it. This is live, guys. We can link it live to a data set that the guys can report back in the office and actually see bars up and down floating. And this is all of a simple PDF. So Bluebeam for us and what we do is a complete solution, not just a point product, but it supports other platforms, which is key. We have to work together. We've got fantastic software out there in the likes of Autodesk. We've got great software like Revisto. We complement those processes because what is the end result? Every single time, a PDF document that needs to go somewhere or needs to be stored somewhere. And that is what we link the information together. So in the last thing I want to leave you, own your data, because who owns your data when you have it on a platform somewhere? Do you need a certain software package to actually open it? Or can you just open up, to my detriment, I'm going to say it, Adobe, and have the information there? It all depends on the neutrality. So what I want to quickly do is I want to show you guys a very simple PDF. This is for actually one of our clients. They're in the telecommunication industry. Their requirements are they want to know where their sites are for asset management and asset tracking. So this is just an example. It's actually on our live platform. If they go over that, and this is a PDF, I can share it with any of you in Adobe, and you can open it up with any PDF viewer. If I click on it, very simple dashboard, just takes you to GUI buttons to find information. If I go to my street view, it's actually going to show me where my pin is in relation to my site. That is actually geo-referenced to exactly the information that you see, where we have our base station, the name of it, the GPS coordinate, because it is geo-referenced, so it's real world, and then the station, or the status. Is it operational? Has it been surveyed? Yes, no, things like that. But I can go further, and I can go and say, all right, I'm here. So I can link it, and it will geo-reference my team that's actually doing the survey on site. And it will then show me and feed the information back. The moment they start the survey, it will bring up a PDF document with certain checklists and coding that's pre-set up for them, and they can start their survey. Is the batteries full? There's their graffiti on the walls, you know, those type of things, giving the information back. So if I just jump back to the main dashboard, oopsie, I can then link that to actually real data, where if I go to my site data, allow, it's just going to open up a web browser. Okay, there's no internet on this end, but it's fine. It's going to bring up a login screen for the admins. So you will have a holistic overview of every single site that you're working on and the information attached, with the information, if I click on it, hyperlinked to where you want it to be. Again, PDF-based or web-based, doesn't matter. So if I go to the data, it's also going to do that. It will also jump to a common data environment of your choice. This jumps normally to your, that was Dropbox. Yeah, it was set up to Dropbox with all your files. So specifically for this project, it would have been your survey information. It would have been the photos. It would have been the report. All of those things linked, integrated into a very simple, neutral platform that you can have access to at any time through any platform without having a file set up or a software to access that information. Okay. Any questions?